Hi, welcome to Web Tools for Great Reads. I'm Amanda, and I'm a library assistant here at Middleton Public Library. And we are going to take a look at a database that we subscribe to here at the library that you have access to with your library card, and that is called Novelist Plus. And then we're also going to take a look at a free website that you can use that's also really great and I think a good addition to your resources called Goodreads. So first, we're going to take a look at Novelist Plus. So the way that you access this is from our website. And once you are on our website, you would click on resources up at the top and then online databases. And then you do get our whole list of databases that we subscribe to, and you just want to scroll down to Novelist Plus. Now, if you are accessing this with children or for children, we do have it separated out into also the Novelist K through 8 database, which is essentially the same database. They just don't allow for access to adult materials. So if that's something you're interested in, you can always take a look at that as well. But for the purposes of our training today, we are going to be looking at Novelist Plus. So you would go ahead and click on that. And you do have to have a Middleton card to access this. And if you're in the library, it would just connect. If you're at home, there is kind of a hold-in page where you would put in your library card number. Once you're in, you can start using it right away, or you can make a free account to keep track of reading lists. And so this is where you would click on the sign in to sign in, or create one now to create an account. And so this is through EBSCOhost. They are the ones who host a lot of our databases through the library, including Novelist Plus. So that is that section. I would recommend going ahead and making one if what you wanted to use this for is to make reading lists and kind of keep track of things, but you can use it without it. And I'll show you here in a moment. So once we kind of go through the different parts of the database here, and then the other website we're going to take a look at, then I will show this to you live. So you'll be able to see what kind of stuff I've put into the reading list and how to do a few things. So Novelist Plus will always open up to a homepage here, and you can choose genres or age ranges that you're looking for. So you have both fiction and nonfiction on the left side. And within those, there's other subcategories. So, fantasy, history, horror, mystery, science fiction, romance. And then you can also change the age up here at the top. So it's highlighted on adults in this photo here that I took, but there's also teen and younger ages. And then you can scroll through and see what kind of reading you like. So are you in the mood for a fast-paced and upbeat story, action-packed, something that's engaging, or kind of world building and romantic? So there's lots of different categories to search that way. And then as you scroll down, there's still different ways to look at the genres that include the book covers, which is really important for people sometimes. Once you do a search, sorry, I'm going ahead of myself here. Up here at the top is where that search bar is. So once you do a search, the book records that are going to come out will look like this. And there are underneath the covers, the book ratings, and those do link up to Goodreads, which is the website we're going to take a look at after this. And there's also a button underneath kind of all of the information about the book. There is a button for checking Linkat. So this would be to check our catalog to see if we have it available to us to order for you, or if we have it here in our library here. So that's kind of a very important button there. You also will have buttons that will show you whether or not there's read-alikes for this title. You are able to, up in the top corner, save this to your reading list here, or put it in a folder. You can also print it or email it. So we'll take a look at all of those buttons live. And then, like I said, there's the read-alikes over here on the right side. So they're giving certain titles, and you can click into each one and it's going to take you into the record for each book. There is a lot of information that is on this page. So other than the title and publishing date, you have whether or not it's in a series and what number in the series it is, which is very important if you are into reading series. And then there's also a description, kind of the book appeal, genre, tone. And then there's also the lexile for what level of reading it's for, which is really only, I mean, I guess if you find that interesting, you might want to look at that, but really I think it's only more for parents who are looking for stories that are appropriate for their kids' reading level. Like I said, that search box is up at the top, and you can use this to find a specific author or title, and it always defaults to a keyword search, which does both author and title, but also just subject or anything that you would use to describe a book. You can change this by clicking the little drop down arrow if you want it specifically to be author or title or something else. There also is an advanced search section here that's going to have that and more. And then there's also a search your history. So this, I believe, is only kept track of if you're signed in to an account that you have created. Each result gives a record that's linked to titles, and then in each section. So if you can see here, like for number 1, there's a little gray line that kind of separates 1 from 2. And right above the link at button, we have title read-alikes, author read-alikes, and series read-alikes. So some of these buttons will not be on every record. If it's a rather new author and new title, sometimes it might take a little bit for Novelist Plus to compile those lists, but for most of them, you can at least find the title and author read-alikes. Obviously, the series read-alikes is not going to be there if it's not a series. And then again, there's your check link cap button. If you would click on the title here, that is kind of highlighted in that blue font color, that's going to take you to the record that we were just previously looking at. You should be able to always hit your back button to kind of get back to your search as well. When you click into the read-alikes or author likes, this is a great way that you can find books that you might love. So they are going to have a list. And first you want to click on one of these buttons. Oh, I didn't take a screenshot. I'll show you live what it looks like in a moment. But it'll have the list and the name, publishing date, reason why it's a read-alike, how it relates to the book that you first started with. All right. When you are in your own account, you can save things to folders keep track of the books that you want to read and save them to different book lists. So up in the top right corner of the page, you also have a place where it talks about my folder, and then you have a new and an add. So the new is to create a brand new folder, add is to add to a folder. So if you hit the create new folder, this is the window that pops up where you would name the folder. If you wanted to put notes in it, you could, and then hit save. And the same thing would be to add it would just ask you which one you want to add to. Let me see if I can find. Okay. Oh, sorry, it's not in the top right, it's in the left. So on the left is where that section is, where it's the new, the add. And right now, this is my books, lists, and articles folder that I just threw a bunch of different things in. So we'll look at this live in a second. Let's move on to looking at Goodreads. This is, like I said, used in conjunction with Novelist Plus, mostly because of the reviews that people can write and follow in Goodreads. That is something that Novelist Plus uses for its rating system. So Goodreads is not a database that it's something that we have to subscribe to. This is just a website on the internet that is free to access. It's also free to create an account. I would say if you're going to use this to the best of its abilities, you would want to create an account. So you can put in your name and email address and a password and say sign up. And then it's going to take you through some steps. One large component of Goodreads is that it is a type of social network where you're just friending people and looking at what they're reading, if they've reviewed anything, and what's on their lists of stuff to read or stuff not to read. So it doesn't really get any more detailed than your reading information. So it's not like other social networks like Facebook or Instagram or things like that. You can use your contacts from those websites. So it does ask if you want to pull any of your friends from those places, but each step of the way you do have a button to skip the step. So if that's not something that you quite care about, you can always hit that button. Goodreads also wants to help you read as much as possible. So they have a reading goal for the year that you can choose. And you can also change it if you need to, but you can also skip it. So I know some friends who like to have kind of reading wars on Goodreads to see who's read the most by a certain date or by the end of the year. So that can be kind of fun. Next, they ask you to select what your favorite book genres are. So this is something that they ask you to do so that they can help recommend books to you based on your answers and also based on the books that you put into your lists of books that you've read or books that you want to read or anything that you might comment on. They take that into account, and sometimes they do give some really great recommendations. So it can be a new way to find something to read. Again, they do have, if you don't see your favorite genre here, click here and then more will appear. This is just kind of the start. You can, and I think you have to do at least one genre, and you can always go back and fix that later. So up at the top, when you first open this up, there's they have this getting started. So find friends, that was the first part. Set a goal is the second one, and then rate books. So it's asking books that you've already read. do you want to rate any? Or have you not read these and you want to click the want to read button? So they're always just trying to find ratings, both for using those ratings in places like Novelist Plus that they connect to, but also to help tailor your recommended reading. So all you do is you click up to, so if you thought that this book was a 4-star book, you'd click on the 4-star. If it was 5, you'd click on the 5th star, and then they would all fill in. And your homepage, there is a section in the middle of the page where updates will appear. And it's usually in chronological order, if I remember that correctly. And the recommendations are always going to be on the right, as well as the Goodreads blog. If you ever wanted to click in and look at that, that's up here at the top. So they always have different articles about books and reading. And over on the left is your book challenge. It tells you, this was a screenshot I took in 2018. So I hadn't put in any books for the year out of 20, because it says 0 out of 20. So I hadn't put anything in at that moment. And then there's your want to read list here as well. But if you see the recommendation section gives you the book cover and then also author and a little blurb. And if you click on that, it'll just take you to the page for the book. But that is generally what that's going to look like. They do kind of tweak this every once in a while. So when I sign in, we'll see if it looks any different today. I haven't checked it recently. So in the top right corner, there is a little circle with a person reading, which you can put a photo in there, but that is the button for your profile. So if you click on there, you'll see your name, and then also you can click into your profile and change anything. Your friends, that's probably where you would go to add friends or look to see who you're friends with. There's groups and discussions. And groups, I believe, is like book groups or groups that are discussing certain books or certain meetups. Then there's the comment sections, Kindle notes and highlights. So there's a way that you can integrate, if you use a Kindle, that with your Goodreads account. Your favorite genre. So this is where you would go in and change anything that maybe you only selected one genre to start, you want to go add more, or you want to tailor it a little bit better. And then also there's a section for the books that your friends have been recommending. Then account settings, help, and sign out. Sign out really, if you're on your own computer in your own home, I don't normally sign out of accounts like this, but if you are at a public computer, like here at the library, then I would say always do sign out. The recommendations, when I click on that, this is what pops up on what is currently recommending. And there's always a button for want to read. And then there's also a little spot where you can click on not interested. That also helps Goodreads figure out what you might like or what you really don't like. We'll also take a look at that. So let's stop share for a second and then reshare. Let's see. Okay. So first we're going to start with what we were looking at first. So you start at our website to access Novelist Plus, like I said before. And then you would go to resources and online databases. And then on Novelist Plus. Here you see our search bar up at the top. On the left side, we have the fiction versus nonfiction, and you can change the age range here, or the little more browsing visually, I can change it there. I can look at different types of books, action-packed or character-driven, and then there's also genres. There's also lots of other ones, like if you want to explore certain authors or book club resources if you're in a book club. Things like that. So let's go ahead and click into, just to kind of browse, we'll go classics. Maybe classic literary fiction. So within each category is now another subcategory. So we do have some recommended reads by Novelist Plus. But you can also search for more. Let's just go, let's do Toni Morrison. So when I click on Bluest Eye, I do get the description, published date. Yeah, here's the Lexile. Here's our link cat, so I can check link cat. And then it should tell me, okay, what do we have available? We have large print. There is a audiobook, physical book, and then it's also telling me that we have it in electronic format on Overdrive. I would use Libby to get that. So that's how you can use that button. And then over here on the right side, we have our read-alikes. So there are some more recent books like The Vanishing Half that's on here. That was published in 2020. And some older ones like The Color Purple. The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois. So it's kind of nice that you have this nice list, and you can look at it in a different format if you need to. I could hit view all, and it's going to give me this nice list that I can then hit this print button up here, and then it will be ready for me to print either here at the library or my own home computer. I mean, it does tell you the reasons on why it's a read-alike, which is really helpful. Keep in mind, though, that these read-alike lists are not telling you whether or not it is in our library system or here at our library in Middleton. So that you still have to do the search for that, which I would just click into each one and then hit the check link cat button. But it's not doing the work for you. So it unfortunately doesn't cut out all the work with that. As you scroll down, each record is also going to give you reviews if there are any notable ones out there from anywhere. You can check to see if there's an audiobook of it. And just more stuff about the book, or lists and articles. If there's any articles out there, it'll pop up. So there's a lot of stuff there for you. And then again, there's this Goodreads. If I click that, it's going to open up the page on Goodreads. I'm not going to do that right now. But that's kind of an example of just browsing with the home button. I think what I'll do now is I want to see if I can sign into my account so I can show you what it looks like to work with your lists and your folders. So I'm signed in and I can go to my folder where I have, this is just my generic one, but I also have in my custom section. So this, my folder, here's number 1. I have one book in the books, lists, and articles. But most of you are probably going to customize it and make it something for your own. So I have one that's called Books for Jonah, which is my son, historical fiction, which is pretty much the only fiction books I read. Otherwise, I read mostly nonfiction. And then I also have one that I created for my husband. So if I see books that I think he might like, I can put it in there. So that's how I can get to my already made folders. Again, I can hit add a shared folder. So if I have another person who I want to share a folder with, like if I wanted to share that one with my husband, I could create a new one that way. When I'm in Josh's books, let's see, if I hit edit, I guess I can't, oh no, there's a share button. So instead of edit, I would hit share. And then it would send a invitation via email. So that's the shared, I could share any one, but if I wanted to make a new shared one, that's this add button. Anytime I want to make a new one, I kind of looked at this a little bit in our presentation, but you just click new, and you make your new folder. Anytime I wanted to edit, that's where I can edit the name. If I want to go into each one, so when I'm in here, if I want to delete something from this list, I do have little boxes next to each number. And so I could select one or multiple, and I can either delete them, or I could copy them to a different folder or move them to a different folder. So the copying obviously is going to make double, it's going to be in more than one folder. Move to means it's taking it completely out of this one and putting it in a different one. So those are kind of the different parts of using the folders. You can print these lists, email them, or save them to your computer. If I start a search or are just looking at different books, so maybe if I click on The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, if I wanted to add this, so it looks like this is kind of a mix between historical horror, science fiction. It's kind of got an interesting mix. Also thought of as like Mexican Gothic. I think it also, I see some different words. So I can add this to a folder if I want. So up at the top corner, you have your print, email, save, add. I can add it and remove it. When I add it, not sure. Go back to folder, let's see where it went in. It should have went into the main one, which is the books, lists, and articles. And here, I then can move it to historical fiction. So it's always going to go into my folder first, and then you would move it to where any of your custom folders. So now if I go into historical fiction, here is the list that I have made. After that, let's try a different search. Let's try a search for, say there's, what's the book? Paris Way. So this is the book that I love. It is, of course, historical fiction. It's by Paula McLean, and it is about Ernest Hemingway's first wife that he lived with in Paris, mostly. And so if I wanted to find other books that are like this, then I have my read-alikes. I can also suggest something if you feel like there's something else that fits that, then Novelist Plus will review it and see if that's something they wanted to add. But then I could look at my read-alikes for The Paris Wife and find there's other Hemingway stuff in here. There's some stuff about Zelda Fitzgerald, artists, and other similarly titled The Aviator's Wife. There's been a trend in the last 10 years or so to have book titles with the something's wife. So that's just an example of your read-alikes there. If I hit my back arrow, I can go back to this. And again, I could check LinkCat, read the reviews. And all that fun stuff. One other thing, let's see. So looking for an actual title. If I just knew I liked an author, I could put in, maybe I really liked Lee Child. So then I could go look at that author. So here is just the author, and you also have a list of books. And it'll tell you, if you click into it, which series it's in, what number it is. And there's also read-alikes on the side. And of course, because I was looking for author, not title, it's giving me read-alikes for authors. So I can click in and look at other books by those authors. If I was looking for the Jack Reacher series, so here's Jack Reacher novels. This is number 27. I could click on Jack Reacher novels. And another awesome thing of Novelist Plus then is going to give me all of them in order by publish date. So first one is Killing Floor. Second one is Die Trying. And again, you can check LinkCat with the button there, and it should open up our catalog. And you can print this. So if you say print the current results displayed, then it's going to make a more printer-friendly version right here. Got all 28 novels of the series. Just hit print again, and then your print for your browser on your computer should pop up. So that is how you can use that series button, and it's really helpful if you need to find something in order. If you need to see what your next book is in the series, that's a great place to look. There are ways that you can browse also by award winner. So up here, after your home button, you have browse by. So we already kind of talked about genre and appeal. but there's also themes, award winners, or just straight up audiobooks. So if you really like to search for certain award winners, that is a place to go. And like I said, there are some extra stuff on Novelist Plus. A lot of it is geared towards librarians, but if you do operate book clubs, there are some great book club resources in here with books and kind of book club guides for each book, has questions, and it's really great stuff. So definitely take a look at that if you are in a book club. So that is kind of briefly a live look at Novelist Plus. It is a super, super helpful database. We love it here at the library, and I hope that you are able to take some time and look at this and find a love for it too. The next one we were going to look at live is at Goodreads. So it looks like, oh, they've updated the color a little bit. But here is the homepage for Goodreads. I have already signed in, and as you can see, I have things that I was currently reading, and in the middle has got some updates of my friends, and then on the left side here I have news, I have recommendations, the choice awards, and it looks like they have some ads that they are pushing here as well. Looks like, so my husband has been reading way more than I have this year. I feel like, and there are stuff I've read, I just maybe haven't put it in here yet also, but I do know that he has been keeping up on his Goodreads. So there's all these books he's been reading, what he's been reading. Says I'm 8 books behind schedule. If I view my challenge, I can see what I've put in here for what I've read or wanted to read or in the middle of reading. I do have some of these books. If you look, these ones here, I actually haven't finished any of these ones because I keep getting them on my iPad in Libby, and then it disappears before I'm done because I am not a fast reader when it comes to life these days with work and parenting and all that other stuff. So these ones I'm still in progress. When you go to the My Book section, which is up at the top, here's a list where you can put in any books that you've read. So this is probably not an entire list of anything and everything I've read. I've had to sit and like look at stuff to be like, oh, did I read that before? Have I read that before? So it does show whether or not I already read it or I'm currently reading. So I do have about 2 pages of books in here, of stuff that I have put in here. And I've rated some of them I haven't. Some of them it's just more because I want to keep track of what I've been reading. And I do like that you have the book covers. I am big on book covers. It helps me figure out what I want to read, and it also jogs my memory on what I have read in the past. So those are really helpful for me in a way that just me typing up a list or having it in an Excel file for a spreadsheet is just not as helpful for me. So that is why I like to use Goodreads. I do have a want to read list. I have not read all of those. The currently reading is stuff that I maybe have picked up at all and then never finished. I think I did finish some of those. So I'll have to go through and update. So that is the My Books section. And again, I could search and add a book. So let me think. I read, what's the most recent book club one? Oh, it was the French Braid. Or is it just called French Braid? There we go, French Braid. So I read this for book club. So I can go ahead and say I read it. And I actually really didn't like this book. Book club gave me something to go off of and understand it through people's eyes better, but I would just say it's a 2-star for me. And I could say post. So now if I go into what I've read, that one should be added in right here. So it's kind of an example of how you search and add books. And you can always hit this little X and delete things out too, if you put something in on accident. There is this browse section. This is how you can look at lists to see, there's our lists here for Listopia. There's new releases, the choice awards that Goodreads operates every year. They have people vote on what their favorite reads for the year are, so you can look back for every previous year's winners. And then also there's a way to get back to your recommendations. And also there's an explore section and news and interviews. So this list section is something that I use a lot as a librarian. And if you're looking for a certain like topic or subgenre, this is a really great way to find it. So there's things like best books of the 20th century, or books that should be made into movies that aren't. When you go through these lists, they may not be always up to date, especially maybe this one, because movies, I feel like there's a trend, a really big trend right now to just constantly make movies out of books, more so than previously. So some of those maybe have already been made into movies or are in the middle of, who knows. But a lot of these lists are great. You can search lists, you can create a list. So that's got that social media component where you can make your own list and have people look at it. There is also this community section that I talked about earlier. So if you go to groups, you could find certain book groups. There are a bunch of groups, like there's Oprah's book club in here. There's also like Reese Witherspoon's book club. They kind of operate out of Goodreads, and it's a way that you can talk to people from other places around the world or the country. Also would be the same with like discussions. If you wanted to discuss a certain new book, there's stuff on there. They do have author events sometimes, and they also have a featured author where if you post them questions, they might answer your question directly. So you can hit this ask button and talk to the authors. There's a quote section and a people. People would be just to find people on Goodreads. The quote section is kind of fun if you're just looking for quotes about different things in life. And if they're from books, they're going to be in here. So it's nicely organized for you. The search bar operates just as any other search bar, just search for a book. And on the right side, you do have some different pieces. You have a notification section, which you can also turn those off in your settings if you don't want to be notified by email or even at all. There is a discussion section, or another way to get to the discussion section, sorry. I've never discussed anything, so if you did, then you would hit start new topic. You have a little inbox. So there is a book club that in the past I used to be a part of, and I never took myself out of it, so I keep getting all of the little notifications. And then it's your friends thing here. I haven't really used this other than to friend my husband. Like I said, I haven't been quite up to getting all the books that I feel like I've read in here. My husband has. He's got a lot in there so far. I don't think that's the total amount of books he's ever read, but he's using this a lot more than I am. So if we would, for an example, click on him, could see a list of his favorite books. We could see what he's currently reading and what he has finished. So I think, let's see here. We can also see what he read last year. And it's currently, let's see here, go to Josh's 2021 year in books. Yeah, so it'll show you all the different books, what the average length was, how many people also read some of the most popular books. So it's just a fun way to look at those books. And the last button I said earlier is for your profile. This is where you can kind of change stuff. For profile, this is where you could put a photo and put in information about yourself if you wanted. There's also the account settings section. So this is where you can, say, I don't want emails from Goodreads, or I do. Please give me these kinds of emails. If you want to use this in conjunction with different apps, you can link them. If you also want to put widgets anywhere, if you have like a website, if you want to put book links in anywhere, if you've made any purchases through here. So you can go through that and take a look, but it's mostly all the other stuff that you're going to be paying attention to, the homepage, your books, and browsing. This is just kind of, again, a different route that you can get to some of these, and then the account settings and profile. Again, if you need any help or there's something that seems to be wrong with your account, you can always go to the help section and see if you can get your questions answered. I've never had any issues with Goodreads. I'm sure some people have. That is Goodreads. Again, really great for keeping track of what you're reading, what you've already read, and what you maybe plan to read in the future, and looking at what other people are reading. I mean, I have no idea what my husband is reading most of the time, because he's just off there in the corner with his Kindle, and he has been doing a lot, and then I get to see all these titles. We don't always have time to talk about what we're reading, so it's kind of an interesting way to start a conversation. So that is Novelist Plus and Goodreads. Again, Novelist Plus is one that you would have access to with your library card. There will be a holding page when you log in from home to put in your library card number or choose your library. I can't remember if it asks for your PIN code or not, but that just be your four-digit PIN code that goes with your card. And then you have access to all of this. And then Goodreads it's just something that is nice to use in conjunction, especially since it is linked up with Novelist Plus with those reviews. And I kind of forgot to show you. Oops. when you're in each one, it does give you like the stuff there for you. And then as you scroll down, this is where the reviews are. So you can read what other people have thought about the book. Guess I didn't scroll down and show you the review section. That can be really helpful in deciding whether or not you want to read it. But I hope you enjoyed tonight's class. We do have a nice lineup for the month of November here because it's the end of October already. I don't know how. And let's see, events. So in November, we have on the 9th, Genealogy Tools Online. This is a class that is in person. We will be in the Archer room this time. This is a very popular class, so we get high attendance. So I just wanted to change rooms to make sure we had enough room. And then also at the end of November, after Thanksgiving here, while everybody is getting ready to either buy gifts or make gifts, we are going to be talking about creative bug crafting. So Creative Bug is a database that the library has subscribed to that has ideas, step-by-step tutorials, patterns, all kinds of things for crafting. And we're kind of using that as a jump off to the holidays if you needed to find something to create for a gift. So those are our classes for November, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great night. Thanks for coming.